So in lesson 4, we're going to continue looking at string functions. We're going to look more closely at something called the split function, and then we're going to look at a variety of functions like the capitalized, the lowercase, the uppercase, and you'll see what I mean as we get there. What we're going to start with is something called the split function. And so what this does is you'll notice it's similar to the last one that we have, but this one now actually takes in something that helps the function to, or the method to run. So here it says the dot split function. So what you'll notice is I have my string name dot split. So string name dot split, and it takes in its splitting character. So what this means is this program will actually go through, and if we put a string variable name here, and we say dot split, and we put a character in here, what this method will do is it will go in and it will essentially split the string at that character each time it appears. So it says the string will break up into segments, and then it will save them in a list of items. And I know we haven't studied lists yet, and we will, but I want to show you how this works since we're focusing so heavily on strings during this particular unit. So here's an example. We have hello world broken up with commas. And if we use the dot split function and we use split at a comma, it would actually split this up. So I want to show you what I mean by this. So if you can open up a new Python program, and then we'll save it as, if we go in, computer science projects, we'll do unit 5, lesson 4. We'll do split functions so that we can see it. I'm going to put it in my in class folder. Oh, and so this is unit 5, lesson 4. We're going to use the split function here. And essentially our goal here is to show you how this split function works. We're going to create a string variable called message, and I'm going to save this right in there. So I have quotation, HE, comma, LLO, comma, space, WOR, comma, LD. Okay, so I wrote hello world a little bit strangely, but we're going to break it up by using the split function, and we're going to use commas to break this up. So here we could then do, call it split 1, and we'll try and experiment with this a little bit. So we'll do the string name which is message, then we'll do message.split. And then inside of here, we're going to put quotations, and we're going to put our split character. So if we do a comma, what this code is going to do is it's going to go to message, which is a string, and it's going to split it every time there's a comma, and it's going to save those chunks inside of this variable name here. It's going to create a list with all the chunks, and it's going to, we'll say it's after it was split at every comma. So the commas, I go in here, the commas will be taken out. They are the split signal, I guess is a good thing to call it. So we're going to go back. If it'll let me scroll over a little bit, let's go back up here. There we go. Okay, and what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to print split 1 to the screen. So I'm going to show you how this actually works in action. So you'll see here, when I say it saves as a list, you can see here it saves inside of brackets, and we'll again study this later on in chapter 7, but it saves the HE, the LLO, the world, and the LD. And notice that the commas are gone. Now I can use anything I want to split a message. So here I could do split 2, and I could do message.split, and I could actually split it with a different character. So say, for example, I wanted to split it at the O, because I can see there are 2 O's up there. What this is going to do is it's going to print out this chunk, split it at the O, then print out this chunk, split it at the O, and print out this chunk. So here I've now split at O and saved in split 2. So now I'm going to print split 2 to the screen. I'm going to add some comments in here. Prints list of items split at 0 or at O, sorry. And this one up here, printed list of items split at comma. So notice how they're slightly different. I'm splitting at something different. So here, print it out. You can see this one split at the O's and this one split at the commas. So you can use this with user input. That's where it's really, really nice. You can have the user enter things in, separate things by commas or by periods or by spaces or by whatever you choose. Just kind of to go off of that, we could do a separate split. Say you wanted to split the words up, you could do message dot split and you could do a space. Then print that to the screen. There you go. You can see it splits at all of the spaces. So it's kind of a cool little thing you can use to help split up user input. That's where it's really helpful. They could enter in all their numbers on the same line, separate them by commas, and your program could actually adapt as is. Now, what kids sometimes wonder is, well, how do I actually use these? What we can then do, and I'm going to comment these couple out so that I can just focus on the ones split at the commas. So yes, we can print these out, but what we can also do is, now that we've got this message where everything has been split, this is a list of items that we can actually use. So what we can then do is we can use a for loop. So we could do for I, I'm just using I as a variable for my for loop, in split 1. So this is saying for every single little piece, so here we can see there was the HE, the LLO, the WOR, and the LD. What we can do is we can actually go through and we can print them to the screen one at a time. So we can say for each piece in split 1, it's going to go through the first time, it's going to set I equal to HE. The second time, LLO. Third time, WOR. The fourth time, LD. And we could actually print that to the screen. So what we can do is we can take that message where everything was split and we can cycle through all of the values in the list. So this is going to cycle through the values in the list. So here, if we run this again, you'll notice here is it goes through and it prints off each little item that was in this list here. So that's one way that we can use this. That's kind of cool. So you can actually go through, use a for loop to cycle through all of those values, especially if you don't know how many times it splits. So this is helpful when you do not know how many times it will split. This is one way that we can use split, is we can cycle through with a for loop, double check and make sure that it goes through every single item in the list that it's splitting correctly. But that's the first way that split can be used, and it'll print out using this for loop, or you can print it out as a list separately up here. What we're going to do in the next video is I'm going to show you another way that we could actually save these values. So yes, we can save them in a list, but we have another option.